Okay, good. All right, so we are on 131A. I believe that would be the same in Art Scroll, right? And I'm going to pick up where the sort of run through the top of the Amud real quick and then keep going. Okay, so we're dealing with this question of this alleyway, whether houses need to be versus courtyards. And the courtyards were saying the question was whether or not the people had joined in a Eruv Chatzerot or not, or Eruv, right, Eruv Tavshilin, an Eruv basically, versus the alleyway. And in this situation, they said, well, maybe instead of even if they didn't join together, maybe it could be the fact that they would give up their ownership and leave and give it to one person, so that it would be a single house. But the Gemara challenges that. Remember, it said it's not can't be a single house. It's got to be houses. So maybe from part of the day to the other part of the day, different people. So that would be two houses. Again, the Gemara didn't like that answer either. Okay, and so we were finishing up with a suggestion by Rav Ashi. Okay, Ela Amar Rav Ashi, Mi Garam Lechatzerot Shiasru. This is Rav Ashi, right? What makes the courtyards prohibited? Okay, regards the alleyway. Okay, what happens? He says Batim Veleka. Okay, is the fact that the question is that's the houses and they are not existent in that situation. Okay, in other words, that if roofs or courtyards, enclosures are one domain, it could be carried from one to another, but otherwise that's not the case. Okay, now we're going to pick up there with Rabbi Chia, right? So it's basically about 10 lines down, opposite the Tosafot low. Okay. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. This is Rabbi Chia bar Abba in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Lo l'chol. Okay. So he's saying here, not in respect to everything. Amar Rabbi Eliezer machshirei mitzvah dochinat hashabbat. That the preparations, let's call it, for the carrying out of the mitzvah and puts off, supersedes Shabbat. Shaharei shtei halechem. So let's take the example of the showbread in the temple. Chovat hayom he. Okay, that's right. So the shtei halechem, which was for Shavuot, okay, was a duty, an obligation of that day. V'lo lamdan Rabbi Eliezer elam gzera shava. And Rabbi Eliezer only learned them, or really did not learn them, except for the basis of a gzera shava. Okay? In other words, he was saying, okay, that this gzera shava is necessary. The Tanya Rabbi Eliezer, and there it says, Minayim lemachshirei shatei halechem shodochim et hashabbat. How do we know? Says that the preparations for the shtei halechem of Shavuot would supersede Shabbat. Ne'emra hava'a ba'omer, v'ne'emra hava'a b'shtei halechem. Okay, basing his Gezerah Shava on a phrase, okay, one phrase that says about bringing in regards to the Omer, and another situation where in regards to bringing the Shtei Halechem for Shavuot, it also uses the phrase bringing, okay, namely, Maha Ba'aha Amura Ba'omer Machshirin, okay, what in regards to the statement of bringing the Omer, the preparations, Dochinet HaShabbat, that they supersede Shabbat, Af Haba'ah Ha'amura B'Shtei Halechem Machshirin, all right? So likewise, when it talks about the Shtei Halechem, he says, those preparations, Dochinet HaShabbat. Now, that seems to be Rabbi Eliezer's position, okay? So in a sense, to pause for a moment, he would say that there are other aspects besides preparations for Mila that could be Doche Shabbos. So remember, that was one of the essential questions, okay, that had to be looked at. Okay, so now the Gemara has a response, okay, for the Gezerah Shava to work properly. Okay, we know that the term on which it's based has to be available. It has to be free, so to speak. And so that's what the Gemara is now going to be referring to, okay? Right? And that's going to be the perspective, okay? Now, mufne, if it's free, available, de'ilo mufne, but if it's not free or available, ikala mifrach, then it's possible to, so to speak, challenge the Gezerah Shava, right? Because if you say both parts of the Gezerah Shava is available, that's usually fine, okay? Otherwise, as the Gemara says, it could be refuted. If you only have one part, okay, okay, that's free. Or if you have both parts are required for some other learning, okay, then the question is, can the Gezerah Shava be refuted or not? And here we're going to see. Mala Omer Shaken Imratza Katsur. Okay, what we're saying here is what in regards to the Omer, right? That, okay, that one doesn't have to cut it further, okay? If it's found cut, Kotser Tomar, okay, would you say that it has to be cut anymore? Okay, B'Shtei Halechem, She'im Matzah Katsur, Eino Kotser. But with regards to the Shtei Halechem for Shavuot, okay, that's not the case. That if it's found cut, okay, one doesn't cut it further. Okay, Afnuye Mufne. If that's the case, okay, then it does not seem to be available, okay, on at least one side. Michte, since Kativ, since it's written, Vehevetem et ha'omer, Reshit Ketzirchem el HaKohen, okay, referring to the fact that you bring the Omer, right, the first cutting, so to speak, to the Kohen, right, that goes to the Kohen, okay. Bayom Haviachem, Lamali, says the Gemara. Why does it have to say on that day that it's brought, to be brought, right? Shma mina la'afnuye. That would seem to imply that it is free only on that side. Vakate, and still, mufna mitzad echadhu. Okay, that therefore, at least Rabbi Eliezer would seem to imply that if it's free at least on one side, that he could still make his Gezerah Shava. Okay. V'shma'inam the Rabbi Eliezer, da'amar mufne mitzad echad lemidin u'meshivim. But haven't we learned that Rabbi Eliezer holds that if it's only available free on one side, we can learn it, excuse me, but the question is, can it be answered, can be refuted. Taviu ribuyehu. So the answer that the Gemara is going to come is that we have another word in the pasuk that allows havetem, okay, to be used, right? Namely the word taviu, okay? So that word is ribuye, who it is an amplification. It's sort of extraneous, and therefore it would seem to allow for the Gezerah Shava not to be challenged. Lema'ute mai, asks the Gemara, what does it come to exclude? So if now Rabbi Eliezer is suggesting that preparations for other mitzvot could also be doche Shabbat, as the example of the lechem, shtei halechem is, so where do we have situations where we have a mitzvah that those preparations don't doche Shabbat? So that's the implication of the Gemara's question. Let's take another example, says the Gemara. Ilema lema'ute lulav. If you're going to say it comes to exclude lulav, right? Vahatanya. But isn't it taught elsewhere in a Braita? Lulav v'chol machshirav dochin et haShabbat divrei Rabbi Eliezer. That here too, Rabbi Eliezer claims that the mitzvah of lulav and all its preparations will supersede Shabbat. Okay? So, what other mitzvot does it do we have to deal with? Ve'ela lema'ute sukkah. Maybe it comes to exclude the example of sukkah, right? Vahatanya. But here again we have a braita that says sukkah v'chol machshirah dochin et haShabbat divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Okay. Here does this braita also tell us that preparations for sukkah also are supersede the Shabbat? Okay, is this another case? Right. So let's try to take another example. Ve'ele lema'ute matzah. Maybe rather it comes to exclude matzah. Vahatanya. But again, aren't we taught in a braita? Matzah v'chol machshirah dochin et haShabbat divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Again, matzah and all its preparations seem to supersede Shabbat. Okay, this is again the view of Rabbi Eliezer. How about another mitzvah? Ve'ele lema'ute shofar. Maybe it comes to exclude the mitzvah regarding shofar. Vahatanya. But again, don't we have a braita that teaches the following, right? Shofar v'chol machshirav dochin et haShabbat divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, again, the shofar and its preparations, okay, seem to supersede Shabbat. This also seems again to be the view of Rabbi Eliezer. Amar Rav Ada bar Ahava lema'utze tzitzit l'talito. What does it come to exclude? It says Rav Ada bar Ahava comes to exclude the issue of tzitzit, fringes on one's garment, right? Umezuzah lepitcho, and the putting a mezuzah on one's doorway. Now, Tanya nami hachi, and we have a braita that seems to teach this as well, right? Vishavim she'im sietz talito va'asa mezuzah lepitcho, and all agree that if one attaches tzitzit, okay, to his garment, or if attaches a mezuzah to his doorway, shehu chayav, that he would be culpable if he were to do so on Shabbat. Mari Tama, what's the reasoning? Amar Rav Yosef, lefi she'ein kavu lehem zman, because they don't have a definite time for which they are required to be done. In other words, sukkah has a time, shofar has a time, lulav has times. Okay, but tzitzit or mezuzah has no necessarily fixed time by which he argues, Rabbi Yosef, that they have to be accomplished, and so therefore they cannot be doche Shabbos. Okay? Now, up to this point, okay, we could say, well, that does seem to fit a pattern. Certainly, those other mitzvot have I'll use the word deadline for the moment, okay, by which they must be carried out. The same thing is true with Mila. Okay? It has a deadline, so to speak, by which it has to be carried out. Right? So there is somewhat of a parallel there. Okay? Now, let's go on. Amale Abaye. So Abaye now responds to Rav Yosef. Adraba, just the opposite. Mida'en kavu alehem zman, says Abaye. Namely, since they don't have an appointed time, okay, right? Kol sha'ata v'sha'ata umane zmanehu. Any time, okay, any moment, so to speak, okay, all right, is a proper time for them. Ela Amar Rav Nachman Amar Rav Yitzchak. Says Rav Nachman in the name of Rav Yitzchak, Ve'itema Rav Huna Bereda Rav Yehoshua, O'il Ubiyado Lahafkiran. He gives a different answer, namely because it's in the power of the owner to make them renounced, to make them hefker. Okay, so in other words, what he could do is basically make that okay of the object, and therefore he would not be over on the Shabbat. Okay? New piece in our Gemara. Amar Rama. We saw, says the Gemara, that Rabbi Eliezer was trying to make a parallel between these mitzvot and Mila, right? And so let's examine those mitzvot in more detail. Amar Mar, says the master, Lulav v'chol machshirav dochinet Shabbat, divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, master said that the lulav and its preparations supersede Shabbat according to Rabbi Eliezer. Minale the Rabbi Eliezer ha. How do we know that Rabbi Eliezer holds this? Right? He may Omer, if we say he bases it on the Omer, right? That Gezerah Shava we saw, v'shtei halechem, or the example of the shtei halechem, shekain tzorech gavoa. Why? Because these are tzorech gavoa, they are requirements, divine requirements of the Most High. Ela amar kra, but rather there's a pasuk that says, bayom afilu b'Shabbat. Okay. Rather, we have a pasuk that says, you take it on that day, namely the first day. Okay, and that may imply on that day may include Shabbat. Lamai hilchata, asks the Gemara. Okay, now what is it in regards to the law? Right? Ilema letiltu. If we say it was regards to handling, it's the rich kra lemishrei tiltu. Is it necessary to have a pasuk that would permit us carrying? Okay. Ela lemachshirav, but rather the pasuk must come to allow for the antecedents, the preparations to be docha Shabbos. V'Rabbanan, And as far as the rabbis, okay, who disagree with Rabbi Eliezer, right, regarding the other mitzvot, hahu mibayale biyom v'lo b'layla. They darshan that pasuk to tell us that it requires to do the act by day and not by night. So the Gemara asks logically, the Rabbi Eliezer, bayom v'lo b'layla minale. So if that's the case, if Rabbi Eliezer uses that pasuk of bayom for preparations, okay, where, on what basis does he learn that the mitzvah has to be carried out the day and not at night? Nafkale mi smachtem lifnei Hashem Elokechem Shavat Yamim. He derives it from a different pasuk. Okay, namely the pasuk says, "You shall rejoice before Hashem 7 days." Right? Yamim v'lo leilot, days and not nights. V'Rabbanan, and then as far as the rabbis go, it's tarich. They still need that pasuk also. Salka da'adcha amina. Why? Because, excuse me, it's possible that I might say, nilif shivat yamim misukkah, that let them learn the issue of 7 days regarding sukkah. Malahalan yamim va'afilu leilot, where that applies to days and also nights. Afkan yamim va'afilu leilot. So maybe here too.
Why? I'm not sleeping.
It applies to days, but not just days, but also to
let's take him.
nights. Kamash malam. Okay, comes to teach us that's not the case, says the Gemara. Okay, so the Gemara then says, if that's the point, v'lichtov rachmana belulav. Okay, so let the text have the Torah written text, write it in regards to lulav, right? V'nitu hinach, okay, and we'll derive it from there. V'nil fumine, and we'll learn it from it. Okay. Mishum de'ika lemifrach. Why, says the Gemara, is that not possible? Because here too, it's possible to refute the parallel, the gzera shava, the analogy. Why? Malelulav shekain ta'on arba'a minin. Why? Because lulav is unique, and that it has the requirement of having 4 species, right? And therefore, since it has the 4 species, okay, therefore that's why we could say maybe its preparations would be doche Shabbat. Okay, let's go on to the next example. It said sukkah, v'chol machshireha dochinet Shabbat divrei Rabbi Eliezer. That sukkah and all of its preparations, okay, are supersede Shabbat according to Rabbi Eliezer. Minale le Rabbi Eliezer high. How do we know that Rabbi Eliezer holds that in this mitzvah too, the preparations are doche Shabbat? Okay. If we do have learned it like we saw before from Omer and the shtei halechem of Shavuot, shekain sorach gavohu, that we saw that there was a divine requirement. Okay, that's one thing. Imi lulav, if we were going to learn it from lulav, shekain ta'un arba amini, but that also has a unique aspect. That why? Because we say that it requires the 4 varieties. Elagamar shivat yamim melulav. But rather, suggests the Gemara, we learn it from the 7 days of lulav. Malahalan machshirav dochinet Shabbat. Afkan nami machshirav dochinet Shabbat. the same way the preparations of the lulav may supersede Shabbat, so here too we may argue that the preparations of the sukkah should be doche Shabbat. So the Gemara raises a question. If that's the case, v'lichtov rachmana b'sukkah. Okay, let the Torah then write it in regards to sukkah, right? V'niti hinach, and we'll derive it from there. V'nigmor minei, and we'll learn all these others from that example. Mishum de'ikala mifrach. But here too, we have a possibility of challenging it, of refuting the analogy. Why? Ma lesukkah shekeno heget baleilot kibiyamim. Because sukkah has a unique aspect. For example, unlike lulav, okay, or unlike some of the other items, okay, that sukkah is to be practiced both night and daytime. Okay, let's go on to another case, another example that Rabbi Eliezer maintained, right? Matzah v'chol machshireha dochin et Shabbat, divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, the matzah and its preparations should supersede Shabbat, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Minale the Rabbi Eliezer high. How do we know? It seems that Rabbi Eliezer learns this. Again, same approach. Imi omer ushtei halechem. If he's going to learn it from the omer and the two loaves. Okay, remember we said there's a unique aspect to them. Shekain sorech gavoa. Why? Because we said they have the requirements of divine requirements. Okay. Imi lulav. If we're going to say learn it from lulav, shekain ta'un arba'a minin. That doesn't work because lulav has something unique, namely 4 varieties. Imi sukkah. If you're going to try to make the parallel to sukkah, shekaino hagah. Again, a unique aspect that it is practiced both night and days. Elagamar chamsha asar michag hasukot. But rather we'll use, in this case, a different gzera shava, namely, the same way it says 7 days with regards to Pesach, it says 7 days in regards to Sukkot, and learn it that way, the Gezerah Shava. Malahalan machshireha dochin et Shabbat. The same way there we said in Sukkah that may be Rabbi Eliezer's method. Okay, that preparations for the Sukkah supersede Shabbat. Afkan machshireha dochin et Shabbat. So here too, preparations for matzah should also be dochesh Shabbat. So the Gemara says, hold on a second. V'lichtov rachmana b'matzah. So let the Torah then specifically spell it out with regards to matzah, right? V'nitu dahinach, and we'll derive it from there. V'ligmor minei, and we'll learn it from there. Gemara says, problem, mishum de'ikal mifrach. Because here too, we could challenge and break the analogy. Ma lematzah shekeno heget b'nashim kiba'anashim. There's a unique aspect of matzah because it's to be eaten both by women and men. Okay? So there's something unique about that. Now, so we can't learn it then. Let's go on. Another example. Shofar, the chol machshirav dochin et Shabbat. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Again, shofar and its preparations supersede Shabbat according to Rabbi Eliezer. Question. Minale the Rabbi Eliezer high. On what basis does Rabbi Eliezer hold this? Imi omer ushtei halechem. If he was going to learn it based on our earlier examples of omer and shtei halechem, they're unique. Why? Shekain sorech gavoa. Because again, they have a requirement of the Most High, right, of Hashem. Imi lulav, if we're going to base it on a parallel to lulav, shekain ta'on arba'a minin. That's not possible Why? Because lulav has a unique aspect of requiring the four varieties. Imi sukkah, if we're going to learn it from sukkah, okay, again, it's not possible. Why? Shekeno heget beleilot u'kabayamim. Because sukkah we observe both nights and days. Imi matzah, if we're going to learn it from matzah, again, that's not going to be possible. It has a unique aspect. Shekeno heget benashim kiba'anashim. Why? Because it's to be practiced both by women and men. Rather, Ella says the Gemara, Amar Kra, we have a pasuk. Yom Trua Yeh Lachem, day of sounding the horn, day of blowing the trumpets, right? Which would seem to imply Bayom, on that day, Afilu Shabbat B'Shabbat, even on Shabbat. Okay, Ulamai, okay, on what basis shall we say this? Okay, okay, if we say it's for the blowing of the shofar, ha tana debei Shmuel, okay, but weren't we taught in the academy of Shmuel, right, the following, kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu, all kinds of work are not permitted. Okay, yatzta t'kiyat shofar, R'diyat hapat, but that is excluded by the sounding of the shofar or by removal of bread from an oven. Why? Shehi chachma, because that's a special kind of skill, right? Ve'ena melacha, and it's not considered your average kind of work. Ella lemachshirin, so therefore it must apply to the preparations for shofar. V'Rabbanan, and as far as the rabbis are concerned, hahu mibayale b'yom v'lo b'layla. They interpret that pasuk to say it's requiring the shofar blowing, okay, to be done by day and not at night. Okay? And so therefore, says the Gemara, Rabbi Eliezer, b'yom v'lo b'layla, minale nafkale, the requirement to blow shofar during the day and not at night, where does he get it from? Right? Mi b'yom ha'kippurim ta'aviru shofar b'chol artzachem. From the pasuk that says, in the day of atonement, you shall make the trumpet sound throughout your land. Okay? And therefore, v'gamre mehadade, and Rabbi Eliezer then learns it one from another. Okay? In other words, right? So according to Rabbi Eliezer, okay, that's the case. Right? The lichtov, so the Gemara challenges it. The lichtov rachmana b'shofar. So let the Torah then write this in regards to shofar, that it is doche Shabbos. V'litu hina, so you mean we'll derive it from this, v'ligmaru minei, and we'll learn it from all of these, mitkiyat shofar de Rosh Hashanah, from the blowing of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, okay? Leka lamegmar, but the Gemara says, but you can't learn it from there, okay? Why? Shekain, Machneset Zichronot Shel Yisrael Lahavian Shebashamayim. Why? Because the sounding of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah has a unique, again, aspect to it, and that is to remember the Jewish people, okay, to remind the Jewish people of their relationship to Hashem and his relationship to them, right? Mitkiyot shofar, the Yom HaKippurim, leka lemigmare. Okay, from the blowing of the shofar on Yom Kippur, also, it doesn't seem possible to learn it from. Okay, da'amar ma, because elsewhere the Master says, tak'u beit din shofar, Niftaru avadim lebateim. Right? Because when the Beit Din blows the shofar, servants are therefore exempt. In other words, it's the Shemitah year, and they go free. Right? Niftaru avadim lebateim, b'sadot chozrot leba'aleihem. Okay, and that's to be done on the sounding of the shofar on Yom Kippur in the Shemitah year. Okay, in that special year, sabbatical year. Now, we come back now. Amar, therefore the master teaches, Mila v'chol machshireha, dochinet Shabbat, divrei Rabbi Eliezer. That Mila and its preparations supersede the Shabbat, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Minan le, the Rabbi Eliezer, So again, if we said all these other mitzvot, okay, which Rabbi Eliezer has claimed have a parallel to Mila, and their preparations should be Doche Shabbos, and that does not work, on what basis then can Rabbi Eliezer claim that preparations for Mila should be Doche Shabbos, right? Imi kulhu, okay, if he learned it, right, from all these others, Gamar, K'da'amarina, as we've learned, as we've said before, okay? They all had unique aspects to it. So you can't learn Mila from any one of these other mitzvot. Va'od, and furthermore, says the Gemara, Ma lahanach shekain im avar zmana b'telah. And also we have a situation with regards to many of these other mitzvot, okay, that even if you were to argue that they could, like Rabbi Eliezer, be Doche Shabbos, once you've passed the time when these mitzvot are to be carried out, they are null and void, okay? They're no longer able to be performed, right? But that's not the case with circumcision. Ella, hainu tama de Rabbi Eliezer. Therefore, that must be the reason for Rabbi Eliezer. Da amar kra, why? Because the pasuk says, Uvayom hashmini imo basar alato va'afilu b'Shabbat, that it be done on the 8th day, implying even if it is Shabbat. So just to continue a drop more, v'lichtov rachmana b'mila. So let the Torah then specifically write it in regards to circumcision, to Mila. V'litu hinach, and we'll derive it from there. V'ligmor mineh, and we'll learn the others from it. Mishum de'ikala mifrach, because here too we could refute it and say the following. Ma lamila shekein nichratu aleha shlosh esrei britot. Why? Because in regards to the mitzvah of Mila, if we go back to the Perek in Breshit, Genesis chapter 17, we would find that the word Brit is referred to 13 different times in that pasuk, in that Perek, and therefore regarding Abraham. And therefore it also has a unique element to it. Okay? Now, okay, that's where we're going to stop today, and we'll pick up tomorrow, continuing with this discussion of what makes then Mila unique, okay, to it in its exemption, so to speak, superseding the Shabbat, and we'll also continue then with some other aspects of Mila as well. Okay. Everybody have a good day and stay healthy, everybody. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone. Be well.
Have a good day, everybody.
Good day. Hello, Harvey.
How you doing?
What?
How you doing? Oh, I shut it off. Okay, I'm not on. Yeah, I think I'm on.
The two of us are on, it looks like.
No, we're the only ones left. All right. Not too bad. The lights went on again. You can see.
The lights were on yesterday evening.
Yeah, I know.
I
Yeah,
don't know
they
if
were.
I don't know if they were on too soon or not. It was so dark, with a big cloud came over, and then maybe that's why it was dark. I don't know. I saw they were on.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
shouldn't get too far ahead with replacing the lights,
Why?
too far ahead of painting.
Well, the painting is, I think they're finishing the D building today. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, and actually I think one or two floors in the D building already has the covers on them, Ray.
Okay. They've actually started painting, not just cleaning, but painting in the D building?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. I haven't gotten down there to see.
Yep, that's what he said. That's
So
what I-
what do we want to try to do about the pool house? We would normally paint it, have our painter paint it.
Yeah, right? You're gonna have an argument with with Sen
I-
Westy?
I think so. I think we should. Especially if,
Yeah,
who's your head of the paint committee now? I'm forgetting names too fast.
well, it was Bob, but he quit.
Oh, it was Bob quit?
Yeah, he quit.
That's twice. That's the second time he quit. Last time we did the,
Oh, did he last time also? I didn't even
Yeah.
know. No.
yeah, he says, BG
No,
gave him the finger.
no, it's not that. It was a matter of the electrical guy. I kept on talking to the electrical guy because I know Danny from the school. I know him from here.
Yeah.
So I kept on talking. So I said, ask him, Bob, about such and such. He says, I don't have to ask him. You've been dealing with him. You know what? I don't want to do it anymore. I said, goodbye.
Okay, that's twice. That's enough.
I don't know. People get so uptight.
Well, because him with his, as he has these abilities of colors and the importance of colors and pictures and stuff, I thought maybe you
That's what it was. I don't know.
could talk.
Oh, that's another thing. He picked out you saw the one he picked out, the electrical,
The light fixture. Your sound disappeared. Can't hear you.
all right, I'm hanging off. Let's go.
So what? Yeah, but we ought to at least make a try again on it. The normal route would be first service.
I'll ask, you know what? I'll ask Judy. See what she
Okay.
says. I have a fairly good relationship with her. I don't know, for some reason, as stupid as these people answer my calls.
Good.
Call me back. That's all I wanted to tell her or something. And they pick up the phone and say, hi, how are you? Oh, Judy, I didn't mean to bother you, but I have a question,
Try it.
But she actually answers her cell phone. When
Yeah.
I know it's you. I see it, but it's okay. I'll speak to you.
She's selective. She's selective that way.
Oh, is she? Well, guess what? I must still be on her good list. So,
Okay.
you know what? I'll ask her.
Very good.
I'll see what happens. All she can do is say no.
That's it.
I said, listen, I have extra time. That's what I'm going to tell her. We want to keep the guy busy. Yeah. All right. We'll see. I'll let you know. All right. Be good.